do you think now that Joe Biden has announced that he has COVID, there's speculation online that maybe this is a medical announcement that he might use this as an excuse to drop out of the race?
Well, anybody can get COVID, and apparently it said his symptoms are mild. I mean, the first question, Gabriella, is medically what will happen to him? Will it disable him? Will it enfeeble him? And if it does, then I think it's a foregone conclusion. But if he bounces back from COVID in a week or so, I don't think it will really have any bearing. It's a bug, and anybody could get it. It's just unfortunate it comes now. And that aside, I still think the pressure is going to mount on him to drop out, because he can't serve as president for another 4 years. It's just not possible.
The clock is ticking and it doesn't sound like he wants to drop out, but we'll see. We are learning more about what unfolded on Saturday, including reports that Secret Service had flagged that Thomas Matthew Crooks as suspicious more than an hour before he took his shot at Donald Trump. Was this a massive failure by the Secret Service?
I mean, on the face of it, sure. I mean, this guy walked in with a rangefinder, and that raised their suspicions, and they followed him around. But the police then lost him, apparently. But there's so many videos, on people's mobile phones, people's cell phones, showing him sitting on the roof with people screaming to the Secret Service and the police to do something. There are videos that show I mean, the big thing for me was that the lady who runs the Secret Service said, look, we couldn't put people on that roof because it's a sloped roof, and health and safety would dictate it was dangerous. And then, of course, somebody came up and said, look at the roof the snipers were on. It was even more sloped. What are you talking about? I mean, there's so many things that don't hang together here. I don't believe that this was just some local nutter, end of story. I don't know what the explanation is, but it's got to be more than that. Nobody could get near him like that without some gross incompetence or worse. And I dread to think what the worse is, but it's kind of like JFK. Maybe we'll never know the answer, but there's so much stuff floating around, as there wasn't in the days of JFK, on film, on social media. A lot of it's probably fake, but it just doesn't compute. It doesn't hang together. I'm very confused.
Why has no one stood down over this? Where is the accountability?
I'm sorry?
Where is the accountability? We've seen no one stand down over this.
Well, I mean, the accountability in what I've seen today seems to be the Secret Service laying it off on the local police force. But I think that the Secret Service is responsible for their subjects' safety, regardless of local law enforcement or anybody else. I mean, if they pick a platoon of Marine commandos and they fail, they're still the ones where the buck stops. The Secret Service has got the ultimate responsibility. So I don't understand these things I'm hearing. I mean, there's certainly, some fairly, useless behavior. The video of that young lady who can't get her gun back in her holster is quite worrying. If you've seen that. I mean, yeah, I'm sure. And to let somebody through with a rangefinder and let him in wandering around, but I don't buy the sloped roof story, because the snipers are on a much more sloped roof. I mean, it sounds like an HR, a human resources. I don't want to insult HR, but I mean, it sounds like some box ticking person. Oh, we couldn't let them up there because of health and safety. I mean, come on, you're the Secret Service. You're armed to the teeth. You're supposed to kill on sight. What are you talking about? So there's just so much going on that needs to be explained. And the question is, who's going to investigate it? The FBI is investigating now, but Trump has been saying for ages that Biden has weaponized the Department of Justice, which includes the FBI, and he's weaponized the CIA, and he's weaponized all these other agencies against him. So, just like the courts, how's he going to get a fair trial? How's he going to get a fair investigation? Who's going to come in and look at this? I'll be very interested to see what he says in his speech, if anything, about this. But I mean, just everybody I talk to has a feeling that, there's something there's something more here. Let's put it that way. And they just don't know how to get to it.
Just finally, before I let you go, you've spent time with Donald Trump, you've been to Mar-a-Lago. There is still an anti-Donald Trump sentiment that exists here in Australia and other parts of the world, to the point people are saying pretty disgusting things online that, the shooter missed, and that's something along those lines. There are comments that are made at cafes. What would you say about Donald Trump to people who haven't had the opportunity of meeting him? What is he like?
What is he like personally?
Yeah.
He's a big, tall, strapping guy. He looks about 10 years younger in person than he does on the screen. He plays golf most every day. He's very fit. When he walks in the room, he's just got an incredible energy. The aura is amazing. I mean, the room just reverberates when he walks in without even saying a word. He's got a very funny and sarcastic sense of humor. He's sharp. When he speaks to you, you think you're the only person he's speaking to. He can be incredibly charming. And I suppose people who absolutely can't stand him would probably be wound around his little finger in 5 minutes if he wants to turn the charm on. He's very intelligent. He's not the most patient person, from what I can see. Um, has a very inquiring mind, and he's just a hell of a lot of fun to be around. He's very, very interesting guy, and he showed on Saturday. I mean, how many people would have stood up and given that defiant, fist shaking and moved on the way he did? He's a real American hero, and that's what people want. So even people who don't like him, I dare say, would like him more if they were in his presence. And he's a real charmer. He'd make sure they do.
Dr. Roger Gewolb, so great to speak with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.